Patricia checked her account balance on the morning of her last day of work. $2,047,000. She had been watching it approach that number for 3 years. The last $200,000 had taken longer than expected. 2 market corrections, 1 year where returns were flat, 1 year where she questioned whether she should push the retirement date back. She did not push it back. She retired on the date she had chosen 7 years earlier. And standing in her kitchen on that Tuesday morning, coffee in hand, she felt something she had not expected. Not relief, not triumph, uncertainty. She had spent 34 years building toward this number. She had a plan, a spreadsheet actually, with monthly projections through age 90. She had done everything right. But the spreadsheet had never shown her what $2,000 actually felt like to live on. Month by month, year by year, with real expenses, real surprises, and the real psychological weight of watching a number you spent decades building start to move in the other direction. In this video, I am going to show you exactly what retirement looks like with a $2 million portfolio. Not the spreadsheet version. The real version. The monthly income, the tax picture, the healthcare reality, the sequence of returns risk, the unexpected expenses, and what Patricia discovered in year 3 that her retirement plan had never accounted for. By the end, you will know whether $2 million is enough, what enough actually means, and what the people who make it work do differently from the ones who don't. Let's start with the number most people ask first. How much can you actually spend each month with $2 million? The standard answer is the 4% rule. Withdraw 4% of your portfolio per year, and historical data suggests you have a very high probability of not running out of money over a 30-year retirement. 4% of $2,000 is $80,000 per year, $6,667 per month. That sounds like a comfortable income. And for many people it is. But the 4% rule is a starting point, not a guarantee. And it comes with conditions that most people glossing over it never mention. The 4% rule was calculated assuming a specific asset allocation, a 30-year retirement, and average market conditions. It does not account for the sequence of returns risk, the possibility that a significant market decline in the first 3 to 5 years of retirement can permanently impair your portfolio's ability to recover, even if average returns over the full period are normal. Patricia's portfolio in year 1 returned 11.2%, year 2, 8.7%. She felt confident. She increased spending slightly. A home renovation she had been postponing. A trip to Europe she had promised herself. Year 3, the market dropped 31%. Her portfolio fell from $2,180,000 to $1,580,000 in 11 months. She was still withdrawing $6,800 per month. She had $1,580,000 left. The math had changed permanently. She did not run out of money, but the retirement she had planned, the one where the portfolio grew slightly even as she withdrew, became a retirement where she managed a controlled decline. A fundamentally different psychological experience. Here is what Patricia's actual monthly budget looked like in year 1, before the market correction. Portfolio withdrawal, $6,667 per month, pre-tax. Federal income tax on traditional 401k withdrawals at her effective rate, approximately $1,100 per month. Net portfolio income, $5,567. Social Security. Patricia delayed until 67, her full retirement age. Monthly benefit, $2,040, of which 85% is taxable, an additional $240 per month in tax. Net Social Security, $2,598. Total net monthly income, $8,165. Monthly expenses, housing, mortgage paid off, property taxes and insurance, $680. Healthcare, Medicare, Part B premium plus supplemental Medigap policy plus Part D, $890. This was the number that surprised Patricia most. She had budgeted $400. The actual cost was more than double. Food and household, $100. Transportation, one car, insurance, maintenance, fuel, $520. Utilities, $310. Travel, she had budgeted $500 per month averaged annually for trips, $500. Personal and miscellaneous, $400. Total monthly expenses, $4,400. Monthly surplus, $3,165. On paper, Patricia had a $3,165 monthly surplus. She felt financially comfortable, but that surplus was doing important work. It was her buffer against the unexpected, her Roth conversion opportunity, her long-term care reserve. It was not discretionary spending money. It was insurance against the parts of retirement that do not appear on a spreadsheet. Healthcare is the most consistently underestimated expense in retirement. Patricia's experience is typical. She had budgeted $400 per month. The reality was $890, and that was before any significant medical events. Medicare Part B premium in 2026, $185 per month. This is income dependent. If your combined income exceeds certain thresholds, the premium increases substantially under ERMEA. Patricia's portfolio withdrawals plus Social Security kept her just below the first ERMEA threshold. Had she done her Roth conversions less carefully, she would have paid an additional $74 per month per person. Medigap supplemental insurance, which covers the gap's Medicare leaves, including hospital copays and some foreign travel emergencies, $210 per month for a Plan G policy at age 67. Medicare Part D prescription coverage, $45 per month base, plus actual prescription costs. Dental and vision, not covered by Medicare. Patricia budgeted $150 per month averaged over the year. In the year, she needed a crown and new glasses, $2,800 in a single year. The total health care picture for a healthy 67-year-old retiree in 2026, with no significant conditions, approximately $890 to $1,100 per month. For a couple, $1,180 to $2,200 per month. Most retirement plans I see budget $400 to $600 per person. The gap is real, and it compounds over decades. Subscribe before we continue. We go this deep every week, and the next video is directly connected to this one. Quick note: I am not a financial advisor, and everything on this channel comes from personal research and analysis, not professional credentials. Patricia's story is a composite based on real retirement patterns, not a specific individual. Your situation is unique. Tax rates, Social Security benefits, health care costs, and expenses vary significantly by person. Please consult a qualified financial advisor before making any retirement planning decisions. Now, let's continue. The tax picture in retirement with $2 million is more complicated than most people expect, and it is almost always more expensive. Patricia's $2 million was split approximately 70 to 20 events, $400,000 in a traditional 401k, $400,000 in a Roth IRA, $200,000 in a taxable brokerage account. Her annual withdrawal strategy: take $80,000 from the traditional 401k. This, combined with $34,000 to $100,000 in Social Security, gives her $114,080 in gross income. After the standard deduction for a single filer over 65, her taxable income is approximately $83,680. Her federal tax, approximately $13,200 per year, an effective rate of 11.5%. This is actually a favorable outcome. She had spent the 3 years between 59,112 and her retirement doing Roth conversions at the 22% bracket, reducing her traditional balance and her future required minimum distributions. Without those conversions, her traditional balance would have been approximately $1,900,000. Her first RMD at 73 would be approximately $71,700 added to Social Security, pushing her into the 22% bracket permanently and potentially triggering ERMA surcharges. The 3 years of Roth conversion work saved her approximately $4,200 per year in taxes for the rest of her life. The tax picture is not something you manage at retirement. It is something you manage in the decade before retirement. By the time you are 67, the structure is largely set. Here is what Patricia's portfolio actually looked like, year by year, through the first 6 years of retirement. Year 1, starting balance $247,000. Market return 11.2%. Withdrawals $80,000. End balance $2,194,000. She felt secure. She renovated the kitchen. Year 2, starting balance $2,194,000. Market return 8.7%. Withdrawals $82,000, slight increase for the Europe trip. End balance $2,303,000, still growing despite withdrawals. This is what people mean when they say a retirement portfolio can sustain itself. Year 3, starting balance $2,303,000. Market return negative 31%. Withdrawals $83,000. End balance $1,506,000, a $787,000 decline in 12 months. This is sequence of returns risk in practice. Year 4, starting balance $1,506,000. Market return 18.4% recovery. Withdrawals $83,000. End balance $1,700,000. The recovery feels good, but the math is permanently different. She started from a lower base. Year 5, starting balance $1,700,000. Market return 7.1%. Withdrawals $84,000. End balance $1,735,000. Essentially flat, the withdrawal is consuming most of the growth. Year 6, starting balance $1,735,000. Market return 9.2%. Withdrawals $85,000. End balance $1,810,000. Slowly recovering. 6 years in, Patricia has $1,810,000, $237,000 less than she started with. She is 73. Her first RMD kicks in. The portfolio math is now being determined by forces she cannot control. She is not in trouble. But the retirement she experienced was meaningfully different from the retirement she projected. The spreadsheet showed a portfolio that hovered around $2,000 for decades. The reality was more volatile, more psychologically demanding, and more dependent on timing than any projection had suggested. Here is what Patricia did that made the difference. The 3 things that separated her experience from the retirees who face genuine difficulty with similar portfolio sizes. First, the 2-year cash buffer. Before she retired, Patricia set aside 2 years of living expenses, $160,000, in a high-yield savings account and short-term treasury bills. When the market dropped 31% in year 3, she did not sell a single equity position. She lived on the buffer. The portfolio recovered. The sequence of returns risk that destroys retirement portfolios was neutralized by cash she never needed to invest. Second, the flexible spending rate. Patricia's plan was not a rigid 4% withdrawal. It was a range. She would spend between 3.5% and 5% depending on market conditions. In year 3, after the crash, she reduced spending from $83,000 to $71,000, cutting the Europe trip, postponing a car replacement, eliminating several subscriptions. A 14% spending reduction in 1 year gave her portfolio significantly more room to recover. Rigid withdrawal strategies break under stress. Flexible ones bend. Third, the Roth as the backstop. Patricia's $400,000 Roth IRA was never part of her primary income plan. It was her emergency reserve, her long-term care fund, her inheritance tool. Having $400,000 in completely tax-free, penalty-free, no RMD assets gave her options that changed every other decision she made. When the market fell, she knew she had a backstop. That knowledge changed her behavior. She did not panic. She did not sell at the bottom. She did not make the permanent mistakes that market fear produces. Here is the honest answer to the question this video started with: is $2 million enough? For Patricia, single, mortgage-free, healthy at 67, with Social Security, a flexible spending mindset, and a 2-year cash buffer. Yes, comfortably. For a couple with 2 Medicare premiums, a mortgage payment, adult children who occasionally need help, and a rigid spending plan, $2 million is adequate but not comfortable. One bad sequence of returns in the first 5 years changes the picture significantly. $2 million is not a number. It is a starting condition. What happens to it depends on your withdrawal rate, your tax strategy, your health care costs, your sequence of returns, and, most importantly, your psychological relationship with a declining balance. The people who struggle with $2 million are not the ones who ran out of money. They are the ones who watched the number fall from $2,047,000 to $1,506,000 in 12 months and made decisions from fear rather than from a plan. Patricia made decisions from a plan. The plan was not perfect. The spreadsheet had not predicted year 3, but the plan had anticipated that something like year 3 would happen, and it had built the cash buffer, the flexibility, and the Roth backstop specifically for that moment. The number is $2 million. The retirement is built by everything that surrounds it. Here is what I want you to do this week. If you are within 10 years of retirement, build your 2-year cash buffer plan now. Not at retirement. Now. Know what 2 years of living expenses looks like in dollar terms. Know where that money will sit. Know the difference between the cash buffer and your investment portfolio, and treat them as separate structures with separate purposes. If you are already retired, calculate your current withdrawal rate honestly. Divide your annual withdrawals by your current portfolio value. If you are above 4.5%, review your flexible spending range, the one number you can control when markets decline. If you have a traditional 401k balance above $800,000 and you are between 59, 12, and 73, run your RMD projection. Project your traditional balance to 73 at 6% annual growth. Divide by 26.5. If that number plus Social Security pushes you into the 24% bracket, you have a Roth conversion opportunity that closes in the years before retirement. Tell me in the comments, what is your honest retirement number? Not what you hope for, but what you have calculated you actually need. I want to see where this community stands. I read every single comment. Subscribe, because next week we are running the real math on the 401k versus the Roth IRA. The same honest accounting, the same year-by-year analysis, and the answer that most financial channels get wrong. If you understood this video, next week's changes how you think about every dollar you are contributing right now.